Hi, today we're going to work with separating a design for printing multicolors on a t-shirt. And if you're a beginning t-shirt printer and you've done one color work and you're ready to move on to the next level, you'd want to print a multicolor design, either a 2-color, a 3-color. In this case, it's a 4-color design. And let's see how we'll separate this. I'm going to separate it manually. There are programs you can buy, rips and whatnot, that will separate the color for you. I recommend you do a few at least manually so you learn the process. Even if you later get the software to do it for you, you'll know exactly what you're doing. That way, if the software ever does something you don't like, your personal preference for the way you print, you can always override it. So let's learn how to separate color for a screen print. I didn't do this design, so first thing I'm going to do is familiarize myself with what the artist has done. This looks to be a standard vector object. He's done a nice job of keeping it simple for me. That won't always be the case. Sometimes people get a little creative with some of the things they do, but that's fine too. That's why I'm doing this here. Looks like this is a vector object with an outline. And so I'm going to open my outline menu here to see what kind of an outline this is. It's 6 points. It's behind the fill, which means, of course, we're looking at 3 points because the outline is going to be right on the edge of the fill. And so if you don't select behind fill, you can see it thickens up the outline. It doesn't really, but now we're looking at the whole line instead of the part that the fill covers. So once again, this is important here. Scale with image. You probably already know what that means. That means if you enlarge the object, the outline enlarges proportionally with the outline, with the object. And that's important if we're going to enlarge or reduce this image to print. So I want to check all these and make sure that he has selected scale with image on each one, and he has, so that's good. So let's assume this is already the size I want it to print on my t-shirt, and I'm going to print these on a light colored shirt, so either white or gray, yellow, anything light that I can print directly on the fabric as opposed to an underbase. We'll worry about underbases later. For now, since this is our first multicolor project, we're going to print this on light colored t-shirts. So we're going to separate this into the 4 colors: black, blue, magenta, and this golden yellow. So the first thing I want to do is put some type of a registration mark in here. And the registration mark does a couple of things. First of all, when you're lining it up manually on your press, assuming you have a manual press, you can sort of see through the screen and this will give you a preliminary registration guide for the job. Another very important thing is when you're burning this design to your screen, if you've ever done it otherwise, you will know that the distance from your design to the screen clamp has to be the same for all 4 of your screens, or else you're not going to be able to get the job into register. So the registration mark also gives me a guide for where to position this eventually on the screen for burning. And I don't get real fancy with my registration marks. This is just a 2-point line crossed at a 90-degree angle. And so I'm going to copy this and paste it. I like to just sort of keep things simple. Hold down Control so it stays on the same horizontal plane and move it over here. Now I have a horizontal reference for this design. So when I line it up on the screen and on my press, I can make it perfectly square, and I can make sure all the screens have the image in the same place. So now looking at this design, you can see it's a little bit difficult to tell where the exact center is. So let's figure that out by putting a guideline here, guideline over here. Let's put our registration marks right on that guideline. And I'm just eyeballing this. You don't have to get carried away with making everything exact, although you can if you like. And when I line this up on my press, I'm going to want something in the center to make it easy to tell where the center is. So I'm going to copy this and paste it, move it over here. And then to find out where the center is, I'm going to select all three of these. I'm going to go up to Arrange, Align and Distribute. There are shortcuts for this, but I'm going to do it on the menu so you can see what I'm doing. If I just hit Distribute, and I want these to be equally distributed to the extent of the selected objects, and that puts that one right in the center. I can once again hold down Control and move it straight up. And now I have a mark for the exact center of my design. So now I can get rid of these, and we're ready to start working with this. First thing I'm going to do is copy this whole thing, including the registration marks. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, like this. And I'll paste it right there. And just put it in a convenient place, and I'll paste it again. Move it down here, and I'll paste it again. Alright, now we have 4 images, all the same, with the registration marks. So we'll zoom back in here and work on this one. So this one is going to be my black. So obviously I want everything in black to remain black, because that's how we're going to output our film and burn our screen. So I'm going to go in here and change these colors to white. And I'm going to hold down Shift so I can do them all at once. Change everything to white that's not going to be printing black. Alright. And the type down here. We're going to be using butt registration. You may know what that means. It means the color and the black, or anytime two colors butt up against each other, they are exactly together. There's no overlap, no trap, no choke, no spread, nothing like that. They just butt up against each other, which is why it's called butt registration. Now you're gonna want to use that for any kind of light print, especially if you're gonna do it wet on wet. It's important that you use butt registration. In the old days, the presses used to be a little sloppier, and sometimes people used to trap something like this to make it easier to line up. You can do that if you have trouble holding registration on your press. We won't go into that here. For now, we're going to assume the color and the black exactly meet up. There's no overlap at all. Butt registration. Okay, so this is our black here. You can see that when I print this on a shirt, that's going to be my black outline and my black drop shadow and the butterfly's body here. Everything that's going to print black is black now. Of course, you want to hit save every now and then. That's a good habit to get into when you're doing computer graphics. If you've ever forgotten to do that and had a power outage or something like that and lost an hour of work, you'll never forget to do it again. Okay, so we have our black ready to output to film. We'll go over here, and I guess we'll do blue here. Okay, so blue means everything that's blue here I want to be black on my film. Everything that's not blue I don't want on my film. Once again, it's butt registration, so We just want this blue to meet the black and go no further. So let's start by turning this wing. You could actually delete this. I don't recommend always doing that because you're going to find out that sometimes the design is done in such a way that you might delete something that you want to stay in there for one reason or another. So instead of deleting it, I'm going to turn it white. So white and white, white object with a white outline. So for all intents and purposes, it's gone, but it's still there. You just can't see it. Alright, I'll do the same thing with my magenta wings. Turn them white with a white outline. And my butterfly body, I'll turn him white. And then these two antennas, I'm just going to get rid of them. I just told you not to do that, but I can see that's not going to bother anything. So now I've gotten rid of all my gold, yellow, and my magenta. I still have to get rid of this black because I don't want that to print on my blue screen. So I'm going to turn that outline white, and I'm going to turn the body of that, or the fill of that, black. Okay, so now it's black. Get this outline back so you can see it. Made the outline white. Don't delete it. Make it white. That's especially important if we did not use the behind fill option, but always turn it white. Don't just delete it. So black vector, white outline. Same thing here. Black fill, white outline. This drop shadow is all black, so that can just go. Okay. So once again, this is our blue film. So we're half done. Hit save. Don't forget to hit save. All right, we'll come down here. We'll do this a little faster now that we know the technique. So I'm going to select these blue and these magentas. I'll turn them white with a white outline. This is going to be my yellow film. Turn it black with a white outline. And this blue doesn't touch anything. I don't want any blue, I don't want any black, so I can just delete that. And then since this body is going to be black on the shirt, I don't want it on this yellow screen, so I'll delete that, or excuse me, I'll turn that white. The antennas I can get rid of. And I'll go over here, and of course this is going to be magenta, so we'll do it quickly. We'll select these blue and the yellow wings, and we'll turn them white with a white outline. The body will turn white. The antennas we'll just get rid of. The magenta part, I'm going to turn black with a white outline. And once again, this blue, we don't need that. So, this is my magenta film. All right. So there we have it, our 4 films. Each one has registration marks that will line up with the other and a center point. So it's easy to line up. Of course, when you put this screen on your press, you want this center point right in the center of your press arm, so that when you put the shirt on, it'll print in the center. And these horizontal ones will help you line up your film square on your screen and at the correct distance from the bottom. And as you can see, some of these, like especially this one down here, it's going to be a whole screen with nothing but these 2 little magenta things on here. So if you have a small print that you're doing for maybe another project, maybe a left chest for the front of this shirt, anything you might want to have make a screen for, you can always put it down here. So when you gang your objects on the screen, you can tape over this and print this first and then use that same screen for another job. Saves some time. We'll talk about that in another video, but for now we have our black we have our orange, we have our blue and our magenta. We're ready to output this to film and burn our 4 screens. So that's a mechanical color separation, and you might want to practice it once or twice before you actually do it, but it's not that hard. Just take it step by step, and I hope your next project goes well.